lovers, the moon is a thing of beauty. But to this man it is a deadly curse. When the moon is full, this miserable wretch turns into a hairy, snarling half-man, half-beast. Prowls the night, his fangs thirsty for human blood. He is a werewolf.
Hello, and welcome to the Werewolf by Night podcast, the show where we talk about Marvel's number one lycanthrope, Jack Russell, a.k.a. the Werewolf, a.k.a. the Beast, a.k.a. the Shaggy One. I'm your co-host, Matt Howell.
I'm your other host, Jacob Balcom.
And we'd like to welcome an esteemed guest back to the show, Tim Tucker. Welcome, Tim.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, and very pleased to be here.
I'm glad you're here, too. I'm sorry I missed you last time. I was out sick, and Jacob took over, so it was fun to listen to the interview that you guys did, but I missed meeting you, so I'm glad we're fixing that now.
We get to meet. Fantastic. Yeah.
Yes. So, Jacob, order of business?
Yeah, well, I wanted to, Tim, I wanted to first tell you that I've really enjoyed listening to your Simpsons podcast. I wanted to get this out of the way because, Matt and I are both huge Simpsons fans. And I was talking to Matt about it. I really liked the last episode you guys posted on Homer's triple bypass. Because I liked that you both went into it like, oh, I don't know if this is a great episode. It has some tonal issues. But then as you're recapping it and talking about it, you're both just laughing so hard at so many of the gags that I think by the end, I mean, you didn't give it a 10 that you normally rate the episodes. But I like at the end, both of you were like, okay, now that we remember all these jokes and all this stuff, you're like, it's better than we thought. And so that was really fun to go along with you guys.
Yeah, it was fun to go over that one. I don't know if you picked up, but I watched it with my ex-girlfriend, and her father was having heart problems. It was deeply uncomfortable at the time. So,
yeah, I know.
So I had all that going on.
Yeah. Watching it for the first time with that in mind, that would be really, really uncomfortable. I don't know if either of you were able to read the John Swartzwelder interview that was released this last week.
Yeah, I saw that in the New Yorker.
Yeah, it was really incredible. Like, this is actually huge Simpsons news because Swartzwelder has been notoriously reclusive. Like, he doesn't do any of the commentary. He's never done interviews. Like, he's this kind of strange figure. And the only real online presence he has is to promote his books that he self-publishes. That's about like a time traveling detective, which sounds really awesome. I would love to I would love to read any of those. But so you read it. It was pretty cool.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it was great. And it was all done via messaging, wasn't it? I don't think he did a face-to-face interview even then. But a lot of great insights into his way of thinking and his writing and the Simpsons writing room and all that. Found it really interesting.
Yeah, I did too.
Step out?
It's later than you'd think. I think he stepped out maybe 8th season or 9th season because he wrote the Frank Grimes episode.
Okay.
And that's and that's
so My Final Days.
Yeah. And then, I think he produced for a little while after that. But I loved the interview. I loved him talking about his start in advertising, his small stint like writing for SNL. And it was just so cool to just hear him talk about himself and the Simpsons writing room. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a fantastic interview. Got a lot of ideas and insights from that. So, if you get the feeling he won't do that again, he's not going to do many interviews, I don't think.
No, I doubt he'll ever do that again.
No, and I am a listener to your show now as well. I admit that Jacob was the bait that pulled me in, but then I got hooked. So I'm a fan and a subscriber as well.
Well, we'd like to invite you both to the B Sharps episode if you're interested in guesting.
That'd be so much fun. Yeah, I think all of us are huge Beatles fans, and so that's
that would be great too. Yeah.
So many great in jokes in that episode. But I guess a little more towards what we normally talk about in the podcast. I know I had talked with you, Tim, about this in our previous interview, but you have written some werewolf novels. You've written 2 so far. It's part of the Cornish Chronicles, is what you call
Cornish Chronicles.
Cornish Chronicles,
Yeah, they're set in 18th century Jamaica and UK at the moment, England. So yeah, kind of during that difficult Enlightenment period where Britain was running on the cash flow of slavery. So I've brought and where the town I live in, Bristol, is sort of seeped in that history. I don't know if you picked it up in the news in the US, but when the whole Black Lives Matter thing happened here in Bristol, where I live, they tore down the statue of a slave owner, Edward Colston, who's been a statue here in the city. And that's kicked off that whole thing of worldwide, I think, people starting to tear down statues. So, so my werewolf novels are set in that period when there's this deep tension, and the hero of the first novel, Above the Circle of the Moon, is half black, half white. His father's a slave owner, but his mother was a slave. And it's about the family and how they become aware of their werewolf curse, if you like. One of the things I'm going to do actually is when you release this episode, I'm going to put it. I'm going to do a promotion for free on Kindle. So if you've got a Kindle or a Kindle app on your phone, you'll be able to download it for free for a week. So I'll make sure that's available when this goes out.
Oh, that's great!
Wow,
and so
that's great.
You're working on a third one now, right?
Yeah. So the first was Above the Circle of the Moon, and I released the second one, Beneath the Silent Moon, this year. And the next one will be coming out next year. No title yet, but it'll be early next year. So, yeah, I'll keep you informed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Don't use Werewolf by Night, because I think Marvel would take issue with that.
Yeah. That's not, isn't it?
It's a little free legal advice as your solicitor.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, yeah, speaking of, I think we should jump into this issue because it's an exciting issue. It's a really important issue. It kind of is the culmination of I guess, a few years of story in this comic. So, yeah, Matt, take it away for our cover.
All right. So this is Werewolf by Night, issue number 29, with a pull date of May 1975. This is part 3 of did we determine if this is 3 or 4? I feel like such a dope. I ask you every single goddamn episode.
No, there's one more issue in this arc. Yeah, so it is a 4-parter.
So this is part 3 of this story of Glitter Knight's introduction, and it's definitely epic. So Glitter Knight has been portrayed in a couple different ways so far. By the way, last episode I was certain after a few drinks that it was Gil Kane and Klaus Janson, and you corrected me and said it was Frank Giacoia on inks. I think I was thinking of this issue, right?
Yeah.
This one's Klaus Janson on inks. Okay, so the way they portrayed Glitter Knight last time, he looked like some kind of a Sopranos mook in, velveteen. And now he looks like a Shaolin monk, like spouting off some Wu-Tang Clan samples. Like, he looks like he's doing some cool karate stuff, and he's going to kick some young students' asses.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I also got a little bit of Uatu the Watcher.
Oh, yeah. So he, again, is atop some steps, and he's looking down at the beast who is charging through a window towards Lissa's were-demon form. And we have another unconscious woman. This one's not blonde this time. So I'm not sure why they changed her hair color, but she has a torn dress, so it's all very suggestive. And Glitter Knight is saying, the moon has made monsters of both brother and sister, and whichever beast survives this death battle shall be the slave of Dr. Glitter Knight. And we have a little box in the bottom that says, a sister born of hell.
Yeah. So it's a nice angle, don't you think? Visually, it's like a nice camera angle on the action. Mm-hmm. I think that's the thing that strikes me the most. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know if I like the layout. I like the angle. I think that's interesting visually, but I just, this one just doesn't grab me. My eye kind of doesn't. Normally a solid layout, your eye will follow a path in a circle. And I just don't do that here. I just don't know where I'm supposed to land.
That's really
I know it's supposed to be the beast and the were-demon, but I don't know. Mm-hmm. It doesn't wow me.
Right, okay.
Yeah, well, actually, I was a little more wowed on the next page, on our opening page, which I thought was really badass. So, just to get out of the credits out of the way, and I like that they don't use their first names in this because we're so familiar with the creators. So it says by Munch and Perlin, lettering by Costanza, coloring by Rousseau's, which is George Rousseau, who I love. And edited by Len Wein. And I love the layout of this. Like the title itself, which is called A Sister of Hell, is like built into the rock of the castle, like with the beast standing on the stone L. And it's very cool, very Eisner. Like, and the Beast is looking up at this huge depiction of his sister, the Were-Demon, and Lissa. And I really liked this. I liked the first part of the narration too. Actually, the second part.
I don't know about you. I was kind of caught out with that because, and we'll get to it at the end because it does nicely kind of round this off at the end. But it starts with this story of a nightmare about his sister having a nightmare, which is kind of, that threw me a little actually. But then as it sustained it as a thread through the story and ended it nicely with it, it worked really well.
I thought it worked very well too. That seemed elevated like an Alan Moore kind of like device. Like it was actually pretty high for Munch, in my opinion.
Yeah, it works really well. And one thing, and she's got a strategic top on from now on, isn't she? She hasn't in the cover. On the cover, she's kind of bare chested, but yeah, that's always funny. I think when they have to put the strategic clothing in.
Yeah, I forgot to put a bikini on my black lab. She's walking around here. If she walks through frame, I apologize for her nipples you can't see.
No, I always like that too, how the clothes strategically rip. They just rip just right.
Yeah.
To where we can still be code approved.
Yeah, this splash page is amazing. Like, Jacob, you and I have mentioned in previous episodes that there's some of these where they're this half-assed attempt at like an Eisnerian thing, but this is a true Eisner tribute where there's an effort made, and they use that same thing we've seen before, like in the Dracula crossover, and I think in the Depraved one where there's like the kaiju giant non-literal version of them looming over the hero who is small. Great stuff. Yeah. The more we're seeing of Lissa's polluted form is interesting. She looks like someone got her wet or fed her after midnight. She's very creepy looking.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I've got
her mouth. Sorry. Yeah. Her maw is actually drooling.
Yeah.
I know. And I don't know about you, but I was strained about this through the whole issue, and I'm still am because I haven't read the issue after yet, about whether this is just a one-off because she got blasted with Glitter Knight's thing, or whether she's always going to be the Were-Demon. That's really got me hooked. That actually, it's like I don't want Lissa to be the Were-Demon every time. I want to be a standard werewolf.
Yeah, so why? And they definitely, I think, meant this to be ambivalent. Like, it's her first time. So is Glitter Knight polluting her with his light? Is she tainted?
Yeah,
stressful. Same way that the Rusoff bloodline is tainted for something they did millennia back.
Yeah.
So I think I have the same concerns.
Yeah.
So on the next page, we just kind of cut back to basically a recap that just shows that Lissa turned into this Were-Demon. There was a bit of a standoff between Taboo's undead self and Topaz and Glitter Knight while she changed, and the Beast broke through the glass, decided to crash the party like a berserk lightning bolt in a china shop.
Oh, man.
And I like some of the language he uses here, like when Taboo and Topaz are shooting psychic beams at Glitter Knight, it says like they're a triangle of arcane vectors or something like that. 3 arcane vectors of change. Just some of his language is so strange and charming.
And you were quite down on Glitter Knight from day one, weren't you? I picked up. Whereas I quite liked him at first. I thought, he's different. Well, because we'd had a run of like Frankenstein and that Jekyll and Hyde ripoff, and I got a slight feeling that Munch was running out of ideas, so he was plundering the sort of horror back catalogue. But I don't know about you, but where's this guy come from? I don't see any precedent to this kind of
no analog. We see
crazy guy with the light shining out of his chest and the souls in eggs and stuff.
Yeah, I guess
so. I quite like him.
Good. I mean, I maybe I'll come around to him. I'm kind of, I wouldn't say warming up to him. Maybe my rage is cooling down to him. But our issue
jerk,
with him,
though, isn't he?
Yes,
he's a total jerk. I mean, the top panel in the right where it says he's sort of smirking.
Yeah,
it's just you really want to punch him, don't you?
With his arms folded, smugly. Yeah, I guess so far he hasn't been defined. So he feels overpowered, and it seems like he can do whatever Munch needs him to do in the moment to have something bad happen. So that's what my issue with him is so far.
I totally get that. Yeah, that is irritating.
So after this page, it was basically all just a recap where on the next page we're now back to the present fight in progress, and we see Lissa lunge toward the beast. And that third panel is really brutal, with like the were-demon claws like tearing into the beast's face. And I love I love the panels of the battle, and they're kind of surrounded by these smaller like inset panels of Topaz and Taboo. And I don't know, I liked the layout.
Unconscious
really
Buck.
Cool.
I know, that might be
So that he gets a little cameo.
That's right, poor Buck. He's still passed out. Yeah. As all this crazy shit is going on. And the bottom two panels are also quite brutal. And I think it's all the more terrifying because we see that little inset panel of Topaz, who just has this terrified expression. I think that Perlin's really gotten Topaz right these last two issues, because we're used to her being so serene and in control, and she's just been fucking terrified like the last two issues, which is scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, it's good. And it's obviously the center of attention, isn't it? Because they're all watching. I do think the only thing about this in the bottom left panel, the second from last panel on this page, the narrative, he finally gets too muddled. You know, when this thing you've talked about in previous episodes where he's talking as if he remembers being the werewolf, and then he gets into this me, the werewolf, I'm Jack, but it kind of gets a little bit muddled in those last two panels, but the action's great, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So I have a question. Have either of you ever heard fists referred to as hams in any vernacular? Is that Cockney rhyming slang?
No, I don't think I have. No.
As far as hams go, the werewolf was no slouch either. Well, they're slugging it out.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've heard legs referred to as hams, or
I have too.
Thighs, but
I've heard like when you're mooning somebody, if you pull your pants down and press your ass cheeks against glass, it's called a pressed ham.
Pressed ham. Yep.
Never heard of fists referred to as hams.
No, you're
I think he's making it up as he goes along.
So do I. So I had an issue with that panel you were just talking about, Tim, because and I hate to get in this continuity nit thing because this is for teenage boys. I get that, but like. It says, but in all fairness to the werewolf, it must be remembered that the concept and significance of sibling loyalty was alien to him. He was a beast, completely unaware that his human alter ego, Jack Russell, even had a sister. Like, we have seen, like, thank God that the werewolf back in the Sarnak story didn't feel that way, because he saved that sister from being tied up in a sewer. So, kind of a little...
I think that... he could have got around that by the fact that she's now a were-demon. So he could have found a different way to make that conflict work.
A couple changed sentences there would have removed that conflict for me.
And while we're on it, by the way, the were-demon thing. So Glitterknight's been calling Jack Russell's werewolf a were-demon, isn't he?
Yeah.
Now we've got an actual were-demon. That sort of feels more right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a better phrase for her. Yeah.
So I suppose his ultimate plan is to turn the entire human race into these things, but albeit without the lupine influence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great plan.
Yeah, it's a hell of a plan. So how many of you have physical copies of this issue?
I don't.
Jacob,
no, I'm on Marvel Unlimited.
Okay. So, Jacob, you saw the ad for the Migos.
Oh, yeah.
Tim, did you have Migos?
What are Migos? No.
They're little 8-inch action figures, and they had cloth bodies and rubber heads. So it's like a little Captain America, Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, whatever they can think of, probably Doctor Who. But they have little rubber heads and cloth bodies that are kind of bendable. And so there's an ad here for the Lizard, the Green Goblin, the Hulk, and the Falcon. And they all make my heart hurt. I want them so bad. The original 70s ones are incredibly expensive.
Oh, they're so expensive. Like they're one of the most collectible.
They make them now, like cheapy reprints or whatever.
Anyway. No, I'll have to have a look out for those. Yeah.
Yes. MEGO, Migos.
MEGO, okay.
Okay, so they continue to grapple, and then Dr. Glitterknight just sees this opportunity here and shoots Taboo in the back. And so while he's blasting him, Topaz says, "Get down, Taboo, get down." And there's a really cool panel in the middle where, I mean, we have not been wowed by the way that Perlin has drawn magic forces yet the last couple issues, but this one's kind of a cool Ditko outer space eon kind of thing where it's just like spinning out purple energy coming out of his cloak, which seems to be almost like Cloak and Dagger or something like that. Like
that's what I thought.
Spilling out this light and all these weird things are just kind of spilling out of it.
Yeah,
he says,
that's great.
So, little Topaz, you remain loyal to this obese homunculus.
Yeah, I love that line.
But he's saying, this is not really taboo. This is, I recreated him from his soul. And then they decide to join together again. They start blasting with their mental powers yet again. And in the meantime, in the background, this is a very busy scene. The werewolf has been charging his sister, and she's backing up some castle steps.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some great, like the obese homunculus is great. and the phrase, strain until your face turns blue, then shrivels and flakes into the wind.
That's quite very Thanos, right?
Yeah. Munch does that thing. He'll have a phrase, and then he'll just take it that one extra step into his own stamp of weirdness. No, this is a cool page, and you're right. I was really impressed with that middle. That middle panel is really, really cool. We're definitely going to throw that in the Instagram feed.
Maximum effort, and it pays off.
Really cool.
Yeah, I feel like he's picked up on what you call the Plug plasma, and he's kind of run with that, hasn't he? He's done something new with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. It's
impressive.
It's really cool. And I love so the next page, the action really ramps up. So this page, so it has 4 panels. They're all different sizes and different angles. Depicting the fight. It's a really cool kind of weird layout.
Really bold.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really neat. And this is also, like we saw on the first page, this is another one where it comes up where the narration talks about Jack and Lissa as children. Now, I'll read a little bit of this. It says, another nightmare. Yeah. We would play fight, Lissa and I, when we were young and stuffed with too much television. She was always the good guy and I the bad. The roles were locked. And so we'd wrestle around on the living room rug, giggling, panting, more often tickling than fighting. Then he talks about on the next page, or the next panel, that one of these sessions stands out more vividly than the others. I had underestimated Lissa's strength, and she succeeded in throwing me off balance.
Yeah.
My arm flailed in reflex panic, and I struck her across the side of her head hard. And as he's recalling this, the beast does the exact same thing to the were-demon, which is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I just you're right. That he goes back to this childhood thing is so effective really well. And so cool.
Counterpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the narrative.
Yeah. Really good advice.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say this series is built to this conflict, isn't it? All along, what would happen when brother and sister. So it feels like it's. I don't know how long he had that in mind, but it really works as a way of threading through this story.
Yeah, I feel like Munch is strongest whenever he stops and looks at a situation and says, "How would Jack feel here?" Like he actually stops and does some thinking.
Yeah.
Whenever he includes that in there, feel physically or feel emotionally, I feel like his work shines. And when he's just getting through something without connecting to the character, I tend to disconnect. And this one feels he's very rooted. He is masterfully using their relationship and their history together to make this violence with the civil war between the two of them even more gutting.
Yeah. It's great.
Finally, our kind of nominal hero, Buck, wakes up and he's all groggy. And we were reminded that he was not there for the transformation. He had been knocked out. So he is shocked and screams, "Good Lord," when he gets a peep at Lissa.
That's a great expletive, isn't it? You know it'll be something like, "Holy fucking shit." But
You wouldn't say "Great Caesar's Ghost" when you saw a were-demon standing over you? Holy Hannah.
Good Lord just feels almost laughable as an expletive, really. But
yeah. And so he is shocked because right next to him, one of Glitter Knight's stray beams goes shrack. And he sees this whole little standoff going between Taboo, Topaz, and Glitter Knight. And reliving, thinking of his college days on the gridiron, he, like a good defensive end, swings around and sacks Glitter Knight from behind for a 10-yard loss. And I love that he's like already, I mean, he just woke up like 6 seconds ago, and he's already on top of Glitter Knight's back as Glitter Knight spraying his light down into the castle floor, saying, "Give me a hand, you two," before his chest blasts a tunnel clear down to hell.
Yeah. He hasn't got long, I don't think, because we know that Glitter Knight's going to paste him if he just in a second, don't we? So
that's the second time Glitter Knight's been sacked in this single outing, I believe.
Yeah, and not the last in this issue even. No, Buck really rises to the occasion. I mean, he's the only non-powered individual in this room, and he's not taking cover. He's not, running to safety. He's jumping into the fray. It's very impressive.
He's a great hero, yeah. Can I just ask quickly, because in Britain, the name Buck, I don't know anyone named Buck, and yet it keeps coming up. There's this guy, there's Bucky Barnes in Captain America. Is it a common name in the US?
No. Buck is an older, kind of antiquated name, probably about 2 generations old. Right. I know some grandparents, 70s, 80s. Probably more like 90s nowadays that are Buck. It's kind of that World War II thing. That's why James Bucky Barnes is, World War II. That's probably appropriate nickname for him. But no, I've never met a Buck in my life.
No, the only other Buck that I can think of is a country artist from the 60s here named Buck Owens.
Buck Owens.
And that's the only one that I can think of aside from that. No, so it is an antiquated name for sure.
I think Ringo covered a Buck Owens song on Help, I think.
Yep, Naturally.
Like naturally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, I just want to get the Buck thing out of the way because it's
in the last panel of this page, the Beast and Lissa are still standing off, and the Beast is considering a talon sweeping lunge. Sweep the leg, Johnny, basically. Yeah.
I like her sound, sound.
Yeah.
It definitely captures that sibilant sort of reptilian sound in that bottom panel.
Well, her tongue has just been out the entire time, which is also really terrifying. It's just this long,
Gene Simmons-like appendage.
Absolutely. And it figures in the top of the next page, which I just thought this is one of those times when Munch just ratchets it up to the next level to where I couldn't believe it. So in the first couple panels, Lissa's eyes start glowing, and it just gets more and more kind of, the camera moves in on these eyes that are starting to shoot flames. Yeah. And then she totally has heat vision. Like she just has flames, and the Beast ducks and the flames conveniently go into the fireplace. But I almost raised my hands up when I was reading this. Just like, oh my fucking God. I did not see that coming.
No, and so point of order, because you guys are my guide in kind of comic book etiquette, because you mentioned I totally get what you said about Glycinite, his powers not being fully realized, so we don't know, he can just invent a power when he needs it. Is this a case of that, or is this okay, these sudden appearance of flames for eyes, do you think?
I had a knee-jerk reaction where I was like, again, more just convenient powers, but then I was like, well, we don't know the extent of this is our first were-demon encounter, so I'm going to let one or two of these slide. Okay. If she can fly and, breathe ice breath, then we'll have an issue.
Yeah. I had a total 12-year-old boy reaction to this where I'm just like, awesome.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, my notes say, shit, flames for eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that, in the bottom 3 panels, I mean, Lissa and her were-demon totally have the upper hand on this page. Yeah. So, Jack lunges towards her again, but Lissa catches him in midair and just picks him up over her head, getting ready to, throw him into the fire. Says, but Lissa caught my rage and hoisted it like a stuffed teddy bear.
Yeah.
I love that silhouette with the fireplace in the foreground.
It's awesome.
That's brilliant. Yeah, and there's a hint of that stuff about their childhood in that teddy bear reference, I think. That really worked. Yeah.
Well done. Great. And so, I don't know if you're familiar with this one, Tim, but we have a little sip whenever there's a body slam in the book. Yep. And Lissa has just body slammed the Beast into the fireplace with its newly lit fire.
Yep.
Okay, let's have
to that.
So it says, I was snatched by hell, but the werewolf screamed, and he's screaming out Rai. So he must be shrieking wolfenly. And then we cut abruptly to the 23rd precinct of the LA Police Department.
That threw me. Is that smash cut? That doesn't happen very often, does it?
No. And it's almost always to the police. When it does happen out of nowhere, it's almost always the writer just saying, now let's move forward a B story, out of nowhere.
Yeah, or wouldn't you get a little box in the corner saying meanwhile elsewhere or something?
Typically. Yeah. It definitely makes it a smash cut. So we get this scene where, what's the dead cop's name? Lou Hackett's buddy, Vic Northrup, is talking to his chief, and his chief is a typical surly, churlish, whatever guy. So Vic is trying to convince him, I think there's a reason that this werewolf story, this might be some truth behind this. I saw one. I swear to God, it was like a walking fur coat. And if you weren't so pig-headed, and the chief slams his hands down and stands up and says, but I am pig-headed, Northrop. So just shut your mouth. Get your can off my desk and close the door from the other side. And he has a cigar, which I think is legally required for all police chiefs. And Vic is angry. He says, with pleasure, pal, and then some. And he slams the door. And then his friend Eddie's outside, and he's like, hey, what was that all about? And he's like, yeah, you weren't listening from outside. He's like, come on, we're going to take a ride. He's like, where to? And he's like, we're going to visit that smart aleck punk who lives at Colden House.
Yeah. The swingers
He's back
place.
on the case. He's still pissed about Lou Hackett missing.
Yeah. He's kind of James Jameson type, that guy, isn't he? With the the cigar and the...
Yeah, I half expected him to, just be like, badge and gun, Northrop. Just every trope of the police chief. So when I saw that bottom panel, I got really excited again because he says, who lives in a modest little swingers place called, and then you move to the next page and it's Colden House. So cool. I was excited that we're going back to Colden House.
Me too. Yeah.
Which, Matt, I think you had the best description. What did you say that Colden House smelled like? It was something and spoiled lube. I couldn't remember what the first one was.
I don't know. Nag Champa incense. I don't know what it smells like. Brute, high karate, some kind of aftershave. I don't know. But rancid lube was the key ingredient. That's really the difference maker.
Yeah, absolutely. So I love it. We get to see Sandy again, which is great. So
is it me? But is Eddie just looking at her breasts while the other one's talking to her?
He's trying to look at her eyes, but he's not succeeding.
No, he's not. So they're interviewing Sandy about Jack, wondering if he left a forwarding address, and she says, "Nope, didn't even come back for his belongings."
Yeah.
And so I like that they instantly are just like, well, could we speak with Raymond Coker then? And Sandy tells them, well, no, Coker just left for Haiti like that morning. And so I like they get back into the car, and Vic tells Eddie that he's like, he knows Coker is a werewolf from reading Lou Hackett's notes because, he had that very thick file all about werewolves. Yeah. And he says, too bad Haiti's out of our jurisdiction because I'd sure like to know what he's up to right about now. And then we get another smash cut, like just that to a Haitian jungle, and we see Raymond Coker. He's in his tropical garb. He's got his hat and his rucksack. And he's cutting his way through the jungle, and he finds this hut with your stereotypical shrunken head and skull attached. So we know this is serious business now.
Fantastic.
And I like he's thinking, he's like, that must be the place, and a pretty wretched place it is, considering it's my last hope in the whole world.
I love it. I mean, I love this. Again, it is another jump cut, isn't it? Well, it's really confusing. I got to feel like Munch is high writing this stuff because he was quite like on the level until Glitter Night, and then I feel like he's just been necking the magic mushrooms or something. But suddenly he's all over the shop. But I love the Haiti stuff is great. And not to plug my book, but part of the thing that fascinated me in writing about Jamaica was the voodoo and the Obeah kind of witchcraft thing. Mm-hmm. So I haven't read beyond this issue, but I'm hoping some of that will come in here because it's great. There's a tantalizing glimpse of it here, which I love. I'm up for that.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're going to be happy about some future issues.
Excellent. Thank you, Matt.
Yes. So I like these smash cuts. I don't know if I'm just like kind of conditioned to like soap opera kind of storytelling with parallel things that just cut around. But I always feel like I've said before, I love the Spider-Man, the soap opera stuff is what I like almost most about Spider-Man. So the fact that we're not just focused on Jack and his immediate friends and we've got stuff cooking on the back burner always gets me excited. And I love seeing Raymond Coker again because I really like that character and I missed him after his abrupt departure. I understand he had to leave town after murdering a policeman.
He's not a werewolf anymore, is he?
No, he's not.
No.
So, but yeah, he was a great character. Yeah.
And so this leads us to wonder, what is his last hope? What does he need? Does he want to cure Jack?
Interesting.
Does he miss the fur and fangs?
Yeah.
So we go to the next page, which was interesting. So we get to see the interior of this hut. And as Jacob said, there's some really kind of Disneyland Jungle Cruise gift shop level of insensitivity. There's shrunken heads, there's skulls all over the place, masks mounted, and a little wizened, I might guess, a white woman, which I wasn't expecting in the deep jungles of Haiti.
Yeah.
Talking in a Jamaican or Caribbean accent, though.
Yes. What do we call that? Pidgin English, or I don't know what you call that one. That's kind of
a patois or
patois. Yes.
Perfect. Yeah.
So Coker says, "Excuse me, but may I come in? My name is Raymond Coker," and she says, "I know what your name is, though I care nothing for knowledge. I also know that you have cut your way through 60 miles of thick jungle to speak to me about restless death. Otherwise, you, like all others, would have no reason for braving the presence of Gisela of the 1,000 years."
Oh, boy.
And she kind of looks like that thing. Remember that like witch in the Dark Crystal that had like the observatory?
Yeah.
She kind of reminds me of her, but not so inhuman. But,
exactly.
Red bandana on, pop-eyed, or one eye. I don't know.
Yeah.
Another smash cut back to a werewolf on fire, writhing on the floor, wrenching himself free from the fireplace. And he's stopped, dropped, and rolled. He has instinct to figure out how to put himself out. I can only imagine what that castle smells like right now, burning dog.
Yeah.
So the were-demon scrambles up the stairs. Buck is holding on to Glitter Knight, who's starting to kind of shake and vibrate with building power. He says, "Hurry, I tell you, I can't hold him much longer. Unite with me, Taboo. Our power must become as one," says Glitter Knight. Oh, no, says Topaz.
Yeah.
And, and so the beast continues climbing up after the were-demon. He is not done. Even though he's still on fire, smoldering, he's pissed.
That's such a great page, isn't it? It goes
it's
from
a hilarious
that smash cut to a werewolf on fire. What a brilliant
Yeah, I'm curious if we're going to get more smash cuts in future issues. It is, well, maybe Munch was in a Godard phase. Maybe Breathless was playing at some New York art house cinema, and he went and saw it 10 times. He's like, I can do that shit.
Yeah. I said it before, but I think he's sort of found his voice a bit in this little run.
I'm agreeing.
With all the flaws of it, I think he's sort of found his own take on the story. Because you guys adjusted to him much quicker than I did. I really missed Plug for about 4 or 5 issues beyond. I couldn't give him up. Yeah. And now I've kind of got used to the Munch way, and this is really working, I think.
Yeah. So one thing I love that we talk about a lot is the phenomenon of comics time, because back a page and a half, the beast fell into the fireplace and burst into flames, and then we cut to an LAPD police chief's office. Then we cut to Colden House. So they drove across town to Colden House, interviewed the manager, and then we cut to someone hacking through the jungle of Haiti and having a brief interview with a wise woman. So, and then we cut back to the beast falling out of the fireplace. Yeah, and dealing with the. I just love that weirdness.
It wouldn't work in cinema or TV, would it?
No, not at all. That's like the old, the joke of the time bomb counting down from 10 to 1, and they always cut away and show all these heroic things happening in 10 seconds that take about 4 minutes of screen time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
No, that's why we love comics, is because of this weird phenomenon of comics time. So on the next page, I love that Buck still has a hold on Glitter Knight. Like he's really pulling his own weight in this issue. Yeah. That's Taboo.
Jacob, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I forgot to read the thing. It says, as the beast is scrambling up the stairs, he says, "I followed mean, slinky, smoking, and snarling." Still never realizing that I hunted my sister's blood. I just love that.
Yeah.
It was. I'm with you guys. I really think that Munch found his voice in this issue. I think this is his best written issue by far.
Yeah.
So anyhow, Topaz and Taboo are still, putting the whammy on Glitter Knight. But now, like, Buck pulls his most macho move yet that also is so silly that it made me laugh. He basically just rips a curtain down and throws it over Glitter Knight's head and slams him into the stone wall. Like this whole time, Topaz and Taboo have been using their psychic powers and they're nearly passing out from the strain. And Buck is just like, fuck this, and just takes a curtain, puts it over his head, and then just bashes Glitter Knight's head into the wall. And he's knocked out. Like Buck just solved the problem.
It made me laugh as well. It's such basic way of dealing with him, isn't it?
Yeah. I love that kind of direct thing like that where he says, guess we can chalk one up for the good old-fashioned simple method. This reminds me of a brief story here. So my brother ran a store in our hometown for a while, and we sold cookies that were, buy as many as you want, and they were like a cake saver. And so we always had this wax paper liner. Every day we'd change it out when we put fresh cookies in. So it was a circle with the cake saver top on it. And so my family went to University of Oregon. There's this huge rivalry between our two state schools, Oregon State University and U of O. So my brother's, one of his good friends he grew up with went to Oregon State, was a huge Oregon State fan. And he said, my brother's Paul and the other guy's Eric. And so Paul said, hey, cut a new liner for this cake saver. And he said, sure. And so he gets a tape measure out. He measures the circumference of the thing. He starts doing pi r times whatever. He does this whole thing. This is a huge sheet of paper. And he goes, well, this is now I know what I need to cut. So this is what Oregon State education does for you. My brother goes, oh, really? Picks up the cake saver, puts it down on a sheet of paper, traces around with a pencil and goes, that's U of O. Just
love that.
But I love Buck's
Buck's a U of O guy. Yeah.
Yes. Obviously. No, he prefers a direct, simple method, and it totally works. But then, and thank God it does, because Taboo, he couldn't go on any longer. Like he passes out. Like he just falls to the ground. Topaz is just like, Taboo. And then she says, oh, thank heavens, Buck, he's still alive, but the strain has almost put him into a coma. And Buck says, yeah.
Do you know what Taboo is though now? He's a sort of a solidification of his soul or something, isn't he? He's not actually Taboo. So
he's solidified ectoplasmic essence.
Yeah, he's a tulpa is basically.
He's not alive and he's not almost in a coma. He's not anything.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But then, Buck,
it works.
Yeah, Buck says, if that thing I saw was really Lissa, we're needed far more elsewhere. And we've got no time to lose. And so, yeah, Buck, again, is fucking taking charge.
Yeah. He's a hero.
Talk to me about this last panel, Tim, of Buck.
What, we're needed far more elsewhere?
Yeah, well, his depiction.
Yeah.
He looks like he's like a rodeo rider or something at the end of his days.
I feel like they haven't been consistent with the look of Buck at all throughout the whole run of Werewolf by Night, have they?
Not really.
And I can never bring him to mind. If you ask me away from reading the comic, I wouldn't be able to bring a definitive Buck face to mind.
See, I can. And so I know when it's out of that bound, when it's out of that sphere of acceptable Bucks. This one, he just looked a little goofy.
Well,
yeah, he does, yeah.
What did we decide on casting for Buck? What was our final cast?
Did we ever cast it?
I thought we did with one of the first times that Brad came on, but maybe we didn't. We'll have to get a solid choice.
When I made if they made a TV show of Werewolf by Night in 1985, I think, or maybe it was the 70s.
No, 70s.
It was Charles Napier, who was character actor.
I don't know Charles Napier. I'll have to look him up.
If you see him, you'll say, "Oh, him." He was in tons of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I think he'd be a good Buck.
Okay. I'll look him up. Yeah, he's definitely not right there, is he?
No.
In this bottom.
No.
There's he looks older as well, and we'll get to it, but Lissa looks kind of old at the end as well. I don't know if that's deliberate.
Yeah, we need to talk about that when we get there for sure. So interestingly enough, the top of the Rusov Castle now is a site where the brother and sister are facing off and battling, and they're still doing that callback to the childhood thing where Jack is thinking to himself, Lissa used to have acrophobia. She was scared of heights always, even to the point where I had to rescue her from the monkey bars on the playground at one time. They're continuing to battle, and he says, it was the castle, stately and broodingly majestic in Transylvania. It had been the place where my father had first raged and snarled as a werewolf. Now incongruous and anachronistic, transplanted to this island off the coast of California. I like how it's anachronistic 20 years after Jack grew up there. Like, it's so out of place now, like 20 years later.
Yeah.
I like the there's a sort of almost, the Escher. Do you know the artist Escher who does those kind of? There's a sort of Escher-like, that top panel, Escher-like kind of geometry to the way he depicts the castle, which I love on this page.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, we really dug that too. Like, we noticed that Perlin did not go back and look at the original Plug castle drawings from the earliest issues. He just kind of reinvented it, and it seems to be a lot more striking and dramatic and fun looking. Yeah, definitely. It's very dramatic on this page. My question on this page, before we get to the end of it, was why didn't she use her flame eyes again? So, she's in a bit of trouble here as he gets the upper hand. Well, hopefully there's an economy to it, so you can't just do it willy-nilly. It's got to 24/7.
Yeah.
So maybe she's tuckered out for the moment.
That must be it.
But yeah, so they're fighting on the edge of a parapet, and the Beast is about to knock her off, and then she gives him a good kick in the face to stop that from happening.
Yeah. Schwack.
Yeah. And the fight just goes on, the action just really continues on the next page. And the narration's like, I didn't have a tail, so I replied with the best means available, and just gives her this really vicious kick. And so they both are kind of, facing off again. Topaz and Buck come in. Topaz says, Jack, stop it, Jack. And Buck is like, no use, Topaz. He can't understand a word. You'll just anger him now. He's like, we've got to realize that your powers are no longer reach his human consciousness. We've got to deal with both of them as the beasts that they are. And Topaz just she's too upset. She can't agree with that. So she yells at him. She's like, Jack, don't do it. Listen to me, Jack. You'll both die if you... And, Buck is like, Topaz, don't be crazy. Get back. She's seen you. And then we see the flame start coming up.
Flame comes up.
Yeah, from the Weredemon's eyes again, which, I was pretty excited to see that come back.
I wanted to hear what Buck's plan was, because he says, let's just, see them as the beasts they are and try to what? What was he going to do?
Put tapestries on their heads and bash their heads into stone?
At this point, it probably would have worked.
What I thought was odd about this was in the middle panels, Jack is reflecting on how adept a fighter she is. Yeah. The Weredemon paused in a crouch of evaluation, studying me, as well as my next potential move. She'd assessed, anticipated, and compensated for the situation perfectly. So she's already, is that the Weredemon influence that makes her, because we've seen Jack's had a very long road to being to efficacy, if he has any. So she kind of just comes out of the egg kicking ass.
Yeah, I think it took him
25 issues.
Yeah, it's the demonic rage. But yeah, you're right. Even in the first few issues, even in our Marvel Spotlight issues, the werewolf was not a great fighter right off the bat. He got his ass kicked by normal human beings all the time.
Yeah, we never tracked his wins, ties, and losses, did we? We should have done that.
I think the low point for me was when he got beaten by a dwarf in the episode with a dwarf with a whip.
Yeah.
It can't get any lower now. He's a werewolf. He's a werewolf.
Yeah.
Lissa has now been drawn to Topaz because Topaz was protesting and yelling to Jack. So now she dives at Topaz and decided that she wanted new blood. And the Beast, for some reason, he knows Topaz. He doesn't know his sister, but whatever. So he wants the Weredemon. So he dives and connects and intercepts her on her path to connect with Topaz. And they'd go over the edge of the castle wall and are free falling. And, Jacob, you were saying last episode, what did they fall? Did the werewolf fall 10 stories? And I was like, nah, it's 3 or 4. But seeing this new design castle, it looks like it's about 10 damn stories.
It does.
It says the impact of interception carried us right over, and we saw nothing but a short future a long way down.
This is like Jacob mentioned earlier. It's a great 3-panel page, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So dynamic and bold.
Yes. So there's these slashed triangular trapezoidal, just 3 panels that are kind of just hack slash put together, and it's very dynamic and effective. So the bottom panel, it's all tilted at a strange 45-degree angle as they were falling.
Yeah, this page is beautiful. The inking's really well done. The action is really cool. And so on the next page it gets so brutal. like they both land hard on the ground, but before that they're like bouncing off of parapets and like oh god, it just looks so painful. And so but then to make it even worse, like Jack lands on Lissa, so he just crushes her as he lands. So she's out, but he is still conscious because she kind of helped his fall a little bit. Yeah, broke his fall for sure. And so the beast realizes that the were-demon is no longer a threat. And so, yeah, he just takes off again. And Buck and Lissa look down from the castle. And Buck says, it's over, Topaz. And Jack seems none the worse for it. Topaz is like, yes, he's free and wild again. If only we could say the same for Lissa. And then I love the narration on that final panel is the werewolf was consumed with some sort of restless, obsessive anxiety, a bestial angst he could overcome only in exhaustion. He didn't so much explore the island as he did tear it up with furiously churning claws, which I love. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, some great writing in this issue.
Yeah.
And in the bottom left panel, after he lands on his sister and knocks her unconscious, I love that it says, bored and a trifle confused, the werewolf split at a fast lope. Like, bored? You just fell 10 stories and landed on a monster. But then it says maybe there'd be something in the surrounding forest, Jacob, to occupy.
Yeah, there's that second one. Thank you.
Drink.
Bit of Hazy Jane for me.
So we get a nice 3-panel top row here where the beast is walking along as the dawn comes, and he's roaring in rage, and then he kind of looks exhausted, and then he just collapses and turns back halfway human into Jack. And it says he stumbles back, I think 2 hours later or something. Yeah, it was at least 2 hours later when I stumbled onto the castle. And his human
Before we get there, were you disturbed by his hairdo being... his hairdo coming, like the middle panel there? Jack's hair comes back
in the middle of the transformation.
Yeah,
it's one of Jacob's bête noirs, isn't it?
Yeah,
thing.
It doesn't bother me as much. I mean, at some point you have to get back into the wavy hair, but it is a little odd.
It is a little odd, but I think what made it up for me is I love the transformations that we've been getting these last two issues where Jack or the Beast is running towards us, towards the camera.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of what would have been 3D scenes in the movie we watched last week, Mark of the Werewolf.
Gotta watch that. That sounded so good.
We get a nice panel here of Jack as the sun's rising. The sky is orange and yellow with dawn, and he is bruised head to toe from this battle. His back is completely black and blue. He has some bruises on his face. He enters the castle and he finds Taboo on the couch unconscious and Glitter Knight tied to the what do you call that on the handrail, the upstairs?
The the banister thing. It's something that's probably got a real specific name.
Anyway, that thing that you put your hand on when you start to climb the stairs in your house. And Glitter Knight's out. And he says, I had to give Topaz credit. It was probably her idea to blindfold the sorcerer. And it made sense the way his eyes shifted from black to white whenever he expelled his light beams. It was logical to assume that he drew his power from the normal light or darkness around him and channeled that power in through his eyes. I did not assume any of that. I did not think he was solar or I don't know. I was just like, okay, that kind of makes sense. So he's in essence powerless right now, at least as far as beams go, because he can't use his eyes to take light in to force out through his chest power. Again,
I feel like it's doing what you said earlier, Matt, that it's starting to try and explain his powers to some degree and try and give some shape to what he is and how he works. So
you have to have an economy. You have to have limitations and an economy. Like whenever there's magic, if there's no economy and you can just do whatever you want, then you're God, and that's not interesting. There's no dynamic. There's no dramatic tension. So.
I didn't expect him to be rendered powerless by a strip of thin cloth.
I didn't either.
That was the only thing.
I like to imagine
on the Marvel
that.
Unlimited, you can't see it because it's a skin-colored blindfold. Is that the case in the
same in the print?
It's such a weird choice.
Yeah. So he looks more nightmarish because he just has skin over his eyes. So Jack's wondering where is Topaz? And he starts to go up the stairs. And then he realizes, Lissa, where are you? He'd heard murmuring voices from one of the upstairs bedrooms. So he bolts upstairs to see what became of his sister after her nightmarish first evening as a creature.
Yeah, and he on the next page, he just bursts through the door, saying, Lissa, is she? And she starts to wake up. Well, Buck says, no, Jack, but she is in a pretty bad way. Try to be quiet. She's still unconscious. And we don't want to. And then Topaz is like, no, Buck, she's reviving. She's reviving now. And Lissa just looks so weathered and ill. And she says, oh, there you are, Jack. It was so horrible, so terrible. I thought it would never end. Fighting and trying to kill up on some tower, falling so far. Oh, thank God it's over, Jack. Thank God it was only a dream, that I'm not like you. Thank God I didn't change, Jack. And then she kind of passes out again. And in the final panel, we get all of our characters just kind of looking more towards the camera, looking really, really forlorn. Like everyone is super down and depressed. And the final narration says, a final nightmare. Lissa didn't believe a single bloody slash of it. She tried to rip me to shreds. I'd tried to murder her in the same way, and now she'd awakened from the nightmare, and she'd rejected its reality in the sing-song voice of a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Ugh, so brutal.
Yeah. So I'm reading this right, that she has regressed somehow through some traumatic thing into 10-year-old version of herself.
Yeah, the version that we heard her that Jack has been reminiscing about this whole time, and then she's reverted back. It is.
It is. It really works. Yeah, it works with the intro really well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it brings everything right back to the intro, which is a beautiful device. And the teaser for next issue says, next issue, Lissa's second night, red / across midnight. So we know this isn't over.
Yeah, I mean, and as you said, she looks about 100 years old, though. She may be thinking like a 10-year-old, but she's unrecognizable physically.
That's disturbing.
Yeah. It is a little disturbing.
So there's lots of questions at the end here for me. Like the question of, is she transformed for good? Is she going to be the were-demon from now on? That's my big question. What's going to happen on the second night? And why is she looking so rough? Is she going to be, ever be the old Lisa that we loved? And that's why I think it's doubly poignant that we're talking about the 10-year-old Lissa, because I feel like we've lost her. For good, possibly. Yeah.
No, it's a really effective cliffhanger. Like I'm really shocked and want to know what happens next.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So I'm sure it doesn't take too much imagination to wonder what the restless death that Raymond Coker is seeking in Haiti, right? That's not like going to be bowl anybody over, right?
I don't know. I'm not as quick on this as you, so I haven't given it any thought, and I'm just going to leave it open until I find out.
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I'm not even going to start thinking about it because I love the mystery of it. I love the fact that it's hanging there. There's quite a lot hanging there in this issue, isn't there?
Yeah. One thing I really liked at the top of this page, when we see Lissa's bed, there's a little like ornate dragon carved into the sideboard. And that just made me think about all of the details in this place, and that this was in Transylvania, all of these things and furniture, and that Simon Blackgar had to have them all over and hire moving people. And then the guy said, where do you want the dragon bed? He's like, that's the second room on the left upstairs. The whole thing just seems absurd to me.
Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, it's great.
So,
wow, wonderful issue.
Yeah. I don't think we need to do much on final thoughts because I think we all dug it. I think, Jacob, I've kind of missed when we did early on the favorite moments.
Yeah, I know. We need to start going back to that. But I mean, best thought for me, my favorite moment was the heat vision, was the fire vision. That just and I know it's silly and it's not as cool as some of the writing structure and things that he used, but yeah, I love the fire vision. I'm in.
Tim,
I think I'm going to go with Buck kind of knocking out Litter Knight with a sheet over his head. Yeah, that's just so. It's as if nobody thought of it. They tried their their plasma and they tried, and then he just went, I put a sheet over him and smack his head against the wall.
Yeah, I'm with you. I cannot overstate how amazing that is that he just pulled a tapestry down off a castle wall, wrapped it over the villain's head, and then smashed his head into the wall.
But I thought there was precedent earlier last issue when he was fighting the shrimp bats. Like, yes. He just pulls curtains. So curtains are his go-to weapon now. Like that's his deal.
It had a bit of a flavor. When Brad was saying in the episode you had Brad on where the police just arrested what was his name?
The Hangman.
Yeah, Hangman. Yeah, when they just that's the end of him. He's just arrested. Yeah. It had a feel of that about it.
You liberal milk sops.
Yeah. Well, guys,
it's packed with ideas. So there's so many. Just flicking back, there's so many angles. Like the fight on the top of the castle. There's just so much in this fantastic episode. Issue.
I really enjoyed it, and it's made up for my uneasiness with Glitter Knight coming in now. If this is Munch's go-to, if he's found this voice and is comfortable writing from this level, then I'm on board.
Me too. Yeah, bring it on.
Well, I'm pretty excited because since I have a physical copy of this issue, which Matt normally does, I get to run the Weremail by night.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal for me.
It's your chance to lead it.
I skipped over it. I didn't even glance at it. I just turned the page quickly.
Okay, so guys, so the first three letters are a bit negative, so let's just choose one. So Do you want a letter that talks about how the werewolf isn't powerful enough, or about how Doug Munch uses too big of words, or a letter that basically just shit talks Tigra?
Oh,
I want Tim to choose as our guest, but I know what I would choose.
I want to hear about the long words, and that's because being a writer, I noticed them throughout the issue, and I wanted to bring it up. But I love his use of language. So what do they make of it?
I'm so glad you choose that.
Yes, I second that. I feel that the werewolf isn't powerful enough is the most cliche subject.
Yeah.
And we've already shat on Tigra. That's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Dear Marvel, I dislike your Werewolf by Night comic for these reasons. Your words are too hard to understand, and they are too long. Words such as the word paraphernalia and others. You should make them easier. Werewolf by Night is supposed to be scary, but all they do is wrestle and fight, but there is never anyone bleeding after they fight, especially when they suck blood from each other's necks. David Durant, 85 Main Street, Brockport, New York. So let me give you the response, which sounds like this is actually Len Wein responding to from what I'm reading from the other responses. We believe that all literature, including comic books, must have a dual purpose, that of entertainment and learning. There is no worthwhile medium which does not have some combination of these two ingredients. Many of us here at Marvel first learned how to read by perusing the pages of our favorite comic mag. And, believe it or not, Pilgrim, many of the newer ones learned from Marvels. In fact, the armadillo who writes this column was once paper trained on them. So as you can see, everyone learns something from Marvel.
That's great. What a great response. Because I was going to bring it up in our talk, actually, because there was words like indefatigable. And I was thinking, yeah, that's quite good language for a comic book. And in fact, there was a beautiful phrase where he said, I think it was about Lissa, saying that she shone in lambently silver light, because I wrote it down and I had to look up lambently.
So did I.
Yeah.
I've never seen that word before. I think it's great that Munch uses long words and gets us in, broadens the vocabulary.
But I thought it was funny that the letter writer really zeroed in on paraphernalia. That's not the one I would have chose as the weird word. Like Munch uses way weirder and more obscure words than that.
Absolutely,
more Lovecraftian kind of level of vocabulary. Yeah, there's a ton of writing around literacy and comic books. That's there's a great essay by Alexei Sherman, the filmmaker, talking about, I don't know if you've ever read this, but he talked about he learned to read from comic books, and he talks about how he just, would see Superman saying something and then punching in a door, and he said, well, I'm assuming that he said, I'm going to punch in the door. And, you make that leap of like, this is text and it means something. And that taught him to learn words. And
Great. Yeah.
It's used a lot in classrooms of kids that are reluctant readers to bring them on board. You can start with something like Owly or something that's wordless, and then bring in some lighter words and get these kids kind of caught up if they're behind in their reading level. I mean, I'm in education, so I know some of this stuff. And yeah, that kid's dumb. Whoever wrote that kid's dumb. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That probably what does that say? Who wrote that? The chief. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah. It's David Durant from Brockport, New York.
He sounds like a miscreant.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention that the last two letters are real short. And they basically are saying like how great it is that Don Perlin is doing his own inks. Like both of them are just like, oh, thank God. They don't specifically mention Coletta, but and also like Len's response says that this is but a small sample of the tide of mail showing up at the offices, cheering the fact that Perlin is inking his own pencils. So they don't name Coletta, but everyone is so excited that he's gone.
You can be classy.
Funny.
You know?
Yeah, totally classy. Yeah, I did like how Len talked himself that he, grew up and learned how to read on Marvel Comics, because this new batch of writers and editors and artists, they're all in their 20s. And so some of the first things that they read were like FF1, they started reading in the early 60s. And so that's really, really cool.
It's great. Yeah. Glad we got that letter.
Yeah, me too. I think one of the things I first learned to read on, I mean, I was reading before kindergarten, but I remember there was an issue, a reprint of Spider-Man versus the Beetle, and it came with like a thing of soap, like a laundry detergent. And I memorized the entire thing and had it read to me and memorized it so I could read it by myself. And so I started recognizing words as whole forms instead of chunking them out as phonemes. And, I mean, it's just, I love comics, and they're great for literature.
That's exactly my experience. I have a picture of myself, and I'm really, really young. I mean, I think I like you, I started to read around 3 or 4, but there's a picture of me sitting in a box holding up a Spider-Man comic like it's the greatest thing on earth. And so I think it was a Spider-Man comic that had Tarantula in it is the first comic I remember reading, and I might have been 3 or 4 when I did that. And so it was a huge deal.
So
because you want to read, you want to know what's going to happen. So you can't just get it from the pictures, from the drawings. You have to read. So
Throwback Thursday, put that picture up.
Okay. Yeah. I'll do it.
See if I can find some.
So now we're in the portion of the show where we normally talk about other media. We talked about a film last week, but Matt, you had put together a kind of a PDF, like an omnibus of this UK magazine that came out I think it just had 15 issues. It was published by IPC in 1984, and it was called Scream. Yeah, and I had sent this to you, being like, oh, I wonder if he's familiar with that, but it doesn't seem like this is exactly the audience. Like I almost think you would have been a little too old.
I was too old for this because I was 19. But funnily enough, I must have read some of it, because going through it's fantastic. Thanks for sending it, because so much of it was familiar that I felt I must have either seen it or maybe bought it. It's certainly very of that time, of any time really between sort of mid 70s to mid 80s, the UK horror kind of genre. The way the stories were told. I noticed the second, one of the stories in the first issue was by Alan Moore. Did you spot that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So I thought he didn't follow up on that story though. He
only wrote that first part.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have been that well known then, would he?
I think he'd be. Would he?
In 84, I really should have gone back. He probably had already done his 2000 AD stuff, and I think he would have been just beginning at Swamp Thing.
Yeah, that's what I would say. 80-45 would be Swamp Thing era.
It was a big deal getting him to write
So Tim, listeners, I'm going to include a link to the blog where I found this, where they've scanned all of these. It's some UK blogger who shared them. So there's more information there about them, and you can check them out yourself. But I got the impression, I might be wrong, this has been a while since I found this stuff, but I kind of got the impression that some of this was reprints. So I would not be surprised if you'd seen these somewhere else.
Yeah.
I don't think they were in 2000 AD, but they were in some other things. And I kind of got the impression that like a Alan Moore or a I'm trying to think of some of the writers that pop up in here later on. Like they were not associated with this. This was just stuff they had done for hire that got used, multi-purposed, essentially.
That would make sense because there's a lot in each issue, isn't there? There's a lot of short episodes to keep you. Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. And I love going back to these because there's something about that era for me. Maybe it was because of my age, being younger from the mid 70s on. It also reminded me a bit of the do you call it the portmanteau horror movies, where like Tales from the Crypt was one that I think one of the first horror films I saw. Do you know that one with Joan Collins?
Oh yes.
And the Maniac Santa.
The yes.
Which is one of the scariest things I ever saw as a kid. But it had a similar flavour, this Scream, these Scream stories to those portmanteau stories I remember from Amicus and others.
So I was 9/10 when this came out. And if there were a weekly horror newspaper format comic book, I would have lost my mind. I would have been in absolute heaven. That there's ongoing story arcs that carry through. So you have a weekly fix of like the Dracula files. What's one of them? A couple of them are kind of infamous.
The 13th floor was quite an interesting
floor, one. The one about the cats. I know a lot of people remember the cat one from when they were a kid.
Yeah. The beast in the attic. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good too.
So I had never heard of this before. I stumbled on it while I was looking for, I think I was digging around trying to find Skywald Scream illegal scans of Skywald. And I just stumbled on this and it was a complete treat. So this was 22p. What would that have been in 84? Like,
yes. I mean, that's like now. So we still use that money. So, I mean, nowadays we'd be
inflation wise.
I don't know what you'd spend now. I'd be expecting to spend at least £2 or £3 on something like that, I'd imagine.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what 22 pence would be in a US dollar in 85.
Yeah. Nowadays it's almost like £1 for $1 now, isn't it? So it would probably have been a bit more. It might have been 50 cents or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And it kind of seems like that. I mean, it's 32 pages, so it's not epically long, but I really dug the art. So first of all, this first issue came with Dracula fangs to kick off this thing. It came in a plastic bag with plastic Halloween teeth. Yeah. So that was part of their campaign. And on the front page, I mean, there's like 4 things from the editor on the first page, and that it's called From the Depths. And they're like £50. You can win £50. Draw a picture of what I look like, the host of this magazine, how hideous and horrible I am. And we'll feature some of them here. And if you draw the best one that looks the most like me, then you can win £50. Like there's that stuff. And there's like who do you want to see in the London Dungeon? Send me pictures of your friends or family that you want in the London Dungeon, and we'll draw them in here. And like all this stuff is like this interactive. Like, I mean, as a 12-year-old kid, I would have been losing my mind, or 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, I would have loved it. A few years before that, when I was younger, I would have definitely lapped this up.
Yeah, I think it was. I think the 10 to 12-year-old kids. I mean, that's the audience that I think they're trying to reach with this. I was doing a little bit of research, and this seemed to be trying to be a horror magazine that small children could get that would still conform to basically what was the British version of the Comics Code, which is called the Children and Young Persons Harmful Publications Act of 1955. And
catchy.
And so, so Tim, I wanted to ask you, like, well, obviously, like, this isn't 2000 AD. Like this, like 2000 AD was, probably sold as a magazine for older readers. And this would be more, I mean, I felt like this was more geared toward your like under 18-year-old.
It feels like it, but it's quite dark though, isn't it? There's a lot of murder and, bloodshed, and it's, it's pretty dark for that age. But I think you're right. I think from the tone of the intro, that feels like what it's targeting. Yeah,
it's dark, but not necessarily super gory or anything. Like I likened it to the early 70s DC horror comics, like House of Mystery, House of Secrets, to where there's murder and it's dark, but it's not gory. It's not 2000 AD or heavy metal, or anything like that. That's more geared towards that. But no, it is a lot of fun. At first I was just kind of like, I don't know if I think I was unfairly comparing it to like a Warren magazine or a Skywald magazine, and I feel like that was unfair. I should have.
I need to check those out because you mentioned Skywald a few times, and I don't think I've encountered those. the magazine I got as a kid was was Hammer House of Horror. I was going to show you one,
yeah.
but
they've had a collection of that published recently here that I need to pick up. I really want to get.
Looks awesome.
Yeah, I used to read those avidly, and they would do a cartoon version, a comic book version of a Hammer movie, which were actually better than the movies because they gave you enough space to kind of make up the details. So, yeah, I recently bought the Curse of the Werewolf issue on eBay.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's great.
So Jacob, was actually a little surprised when you said the other night like that you were not bowled over by this, because I think the art in this is consistently gorgeous, at least in these first few issues. I haven't read much past where we did. I think the first 3 issues I read, but like in this first installment of the Dracula file, that this just heavy, all these blacks, like it's almost like Grandinetti or like Toth kind of levels of black, and just really dark visually. I found it striking, and I feel like I just flipped through it. What's the Alan Moore one? Oh, the monster. Yeah. Like that art's really appealing to me too. Like I think the art is just top notch throughout this whole thing. Yeah. And everybody's very distinct. Seems like there's a lot of Ortizes, and I don't know if these are Filipinos or Spanish artists or who they're hiring for some of this stuff.
I think there are a lot of Spanish and Filipino artists. I recognize, I think it's in the second issue, there's a story that just said art by Redondo.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, like Nestor Redondo or Kiko Redondo. Okay. And so I looked, and it wasn't, I think it's a third Redondo brother that actually did the art for this. But, the Redondos are a renowned comic family from the Philippines. So yeah, I think they are kind of taking from that talent pool, which is cool. No, I went back and reread them, and I was like, I was a little too hard on it. It is a lot of fun, and the art is pretty consistent. And we got an obscure Alan Moore story, so that's the price of admission there.
I'm going to read them all.
Tim, I don't know if you know any of these artists that are not Spanish, like Cam Kennedy and Eric Bradbury. I like a lot of their stuff too, and I've never heard of them.
No, I haven't heard of them, and like you, I was really impressed. There's sort of there's a variety of styles, isn't there? But there's quite a lot of sort of photorealistic kind of styles in some of them, which I really like. Those darker ones, the Alan Moore one and the Dracula one, which But I don't recognize the artist at all.
Yeah, John Agee writes The Terror of the Cats, which is one of those ones that people have traumatic memories of from their childhood, I guess, from reading the comments on the blog. And that art is just by someone credited as Gonzalez, and that's some of my favorite art. I think that was the thing I sent to Jacob. I sent you a page from this and said, Jesus Christ, look at this thing I found.
It's great.
So I
Such
love
a good find. Yeah, thank you for sending it, because I'm gonna devour it. It's I found one werewolf story right towards the end of Spine Chillers, which is another issue that's wrapped up in there. It wasn't a very good werewolf story, though. I got to tell you, that was. But there's something about spiders near the end as well, which is really cool. There's some good spider stories.
Yeah, the Spiders Can't Scream is a weird one. That checks a lot of boxes for me as far as like lost Central American cities of gold, treasure, spider gods and curses, and that's my mind
crazy
is fully
title.
erect.
I really want a T-shirt with Spiders Can't Scream on it.
I know. But as far as the Skywald stuff goes, Tim, I'm happy to hook you up. I went on a tear and made these omnibus editions of all of these different titles, and just hit up the Werewolf by Night podcast at Gmail account, and I will hook you up.
Thank you.
I thought it was interesting that they did the whole variety thing. So it's not all straight horror. There's the Fiends and Neighbors comedy, kind of Mad Magazine.
Almost like a Harvey Kurtzman kind of thing.
Yeah, like a Kurtzman thing, or even like the Addams Family or something.
We had a lot of comics like that.
Morbid Neighbors.
Yeah, we had a lot of comics like that. There was one called Shiver and Shake that I used to read which was a sort of ghost sort of monster comic that was in that style. Okay. Much tamer, no gore, but they'd have like goofy Frankenstein monsters. It was for kind of like 10 and under, really. Okay. I used to read all of those. They were great. Yeah, that's very British. I don't know if there's an equivalent for in the US, but that's a very British style. Shiver and Shake. Yeah, it's much less horror, but a lot of fun.
Like Matt was saying, we didn't get the weekly comics. That seems like that's a really cool thing that British comics did, to where it was a weekly thing.
Yeah.
And like
but they were always in black and white on really cheap paper.
Yeah, I don't care.
I was always jealous of the American. In the end, I used to get American imports of Marvel comics because I soon realized that you had the full color comics, you know. But yeah, all ours were in black and white and very smudgy, inky paper, you know. But they come out weekly. So.
And that was the Mighty World of Marvel, I think.
Yeah, there was that, and there was the Titans, I think, was another one. I looked it up recently, but yeah, there was the Mighty World of Marvel, and they used to mix up all your comics into like probably you said this was, Matt. I think they'd take like a year ago's comics from the US and just package them up into a black and white format. So I got a very.
See, this feels. Sorry, I was just gonna say this. I know I said that these are kind of reprinted or whatever, but these don't feel to me like they were made separately and cobbled together for a quick buck.
I don't think so.
This feels to me like it was commissioned for this as a cohesive work.
Right.
So
so
far.
But you think
how
about
Alan Moore. Yeah, and I don't know how they lured Alan Moore to write one 3-page story or something.
Yeah,
kind of strange.
Yeah, I'll be interested to find out more about this. I'll look into the history, see if I can find out anything about it. But
yeah, and again, there is a link in the show notes to the blog where I found this. If you folks want to look at them for yourself.
Great, thanks for that.
Well, I'm glad you came around, Jacob, because I was coming in here, man. I was shadow boxing, and I was
You were ready to fight me. No,
I was ready to throw down over this thing because I love it.
I did. I think when I first read them, I must have just not been in the mood, because when I went back and reread them, I was like, oh no, these are great. These are a lot of fun. I'm glad I have the omnibus to pour through.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that the scans aren't like consistently sized. I just downloaded what was available, so some of them are small and you have to zoom in. Sometimes they're really big and you have to zoom out. But hey, free comics.
Yeah, the price is right.
Free comics. Mm-hmm. Yeah, save 22p an issue there.
Yep. Well, this was so fun, and I'm so glad I finally got to meet you, Tim. This was a delight.
It was. Thank you so much for asking me, and I'm looking forward to you guys joining us on the Stay at Homer podcast to talk about the B Sharps. But thanks for having me today.
I would love to talk to you on that show. So, Jacob, do we have a guest next up, or are we wrapping up this Glitter Knight saga, just the two of us?
Yep, it's just the two of us. And then I think the week after, we're having Brad Elmore on for Giant Size Werewolf 4 with Morbius the Living Vampire.
His precious Morbius.
He loves his Morbius.
He does indeed. So, folks, if you have any cool comics like this that you found that you think are obscure or underappreciated, you can send us an email at werewolfbynightpodcast@gmail.com and let us know about it. That's our own weremail. And and let us know any horror movies we need to see or any kind of other stuff you're into. It doesn't have to be werewolf stuff either. It can just be general comics you're reading and digging right now. There's a bunch of stuff that I need to talk about on the show that I haven't got time to yet. So we always love recommendations. And of course, we love to have reviews. The great Tim here gave us a nice review, and he got some buttons, I bet.
I did. Yep. Yeah. Very proud of myself.
Leave us a review and let us know about it. We're happy to send you buttons made from real, actual Werewolf by Night issues, lovingly crafted by Jacob and his lovely wife.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us, Tim, and thanks for joining us this week, listeners. Till we meet again beneath the full moon, furry ones, here's howling at ya.